The auto body industry in America generates $48 billion every single year. 70% of that money does not come from accidents, not from collisions, not from hail damage. It comes from faded paint. And somewhere in a Stuttgart laboratory in 1903, a German chemist discovered a liquid that makes their entire business model disappear. It cost $2. It is sitting on a hardware store shelf right now, and the industry has known about it for over a century. They did not ban it. They did not fight it in court. They did something far more effective. They simply never told you it existed. Welcome to Hidden Fix Lab. This is the channel where buried science comes back up for air. If you are watching this for the first time and something in your gut just told you, I already knew they were hiding something, hit that subscribe button right now. Think of it like calling your doctor before something goes wrong. Do it before you need it. And before we go any further, drop a comment below. Where in the world are you watching from? Because what comes next in this video changes how you will never look at a body shop the same way again. In the winter of 1903, a German chemist named Friedrich Ballmer was working alone in a coatings laboratory on the outskirts of Stuttgart. He was not working for a car company. He was not trying to change the automobile industry. He was trying to keep locomotives from dying in the cold. His employer was a railway maintenance company contracted by the Prussian state railroad system. His job was simple: protect the paint on iron locomotives from freezing rain, summer UV exposure, and the constant vibration of engine panels running at full speed through the Alps. The railways needed their paint to last. Not look good for 3 years. Last. One afternoon, in his Stuttgart workshop, Ballmer was running a routine experiment with thinned resin compounds. He had diluted an acrylic formulation down to near water consistency, far thinner than any coating was supposed to be applied. What happened next changed everything. Instead of sitting on top of the damaged lacquer like normal paint, the liquid disappeared into it. It did not coat the surface, it entered it. Ballmer watched as the thin liquid seeped into the microscopic fractures of the oxidized lacquer and hardened from the inside out. He reached for his laboratory journal and wrote down what he had just witnessed. He called it capillary resin infiltration. The science behind what he saw was not magic. It was simple physics. When UV radiation breaks down the surface of a protective coating, it creates a network of tiny channels, microscopic fractures running through the entire surface layer. Those channels behave exactly like capillaries in human tissue. A liquid thin enough will flow into them on its own, pulled by surface tension alone, with no pressure, no equipment, and no tools. If that liquid carries a resin that hardens as it dries, it fills every fracture permanently, and the surface is whole again. Ballmer tested his discovery immediately on a Class P8 locomotive that had been running exposed alpine routes for 9 brutal winters. The original Prussian red lacquer on the engine cowling had faded to a dull, chalky orange. Deep fractures were visible under magnification across every steel panel. His team applied 2 coats of the thinned acrylic resin using cotton rags by hand. No spray booth, no orbital sander, no climate-controlled chamber. Within days, the cowling had returned to its original depth and gloss. The railway company was so stunned by the result that they documented the entire restoration with photographs. Those photographs still exist today in the Deutsche Bahn Historical Archive in Nuremberg. The discovery was real. The proof was documented. The science was sound. But Friedrich Ballmer was not working for the automobile industry. And that one fact changed everything that came after. Most people believe oxidized paint is dead paint. The auto body industry built a $48 billion business on that belief. The science says something completely different. Oxidized clear coat is not dead. It is fractured. Ultraviolet radiation does not destroy the paint layer. It breaks the polymer chains at the outermost surface, creating a network of microscopic channels running through the entire coating. Those channels are still connected to healthy pigment beneath. The structure is damaged, but it is not gone. And that distinction is worth everything. In 2003, researchers at the University of Southern Mississippi published a landmark study in the Journal of Coatings Technology. They took 20 identical steel panels coated with standard automotive clear coat and exposed every single one to concentrated UV radiation, calibrated to simulate 8 years of direct Gulf Coast sunlight. Every panel reached stage 3 oxidation, completely white, chalky, visibly fractured across the entire surface. 10 panels received 1 coat of diluted acrylic copolymer resin applied with a foam pad. The other 10 received treatment with a leading commercial rubbing compound sold at auto parts stores across the country. After 72 hours of curing, the results were documented. The resin-treated panels recovered 87% of original factory gloss from a single coat of liquid costing pennies per square foot. The rubbing compound panels recovered only 34%. 6 months later, the rubbing compound panels had returned to full stage 3 oxidation, as if they had never been touched. The resin-treated panels held their restored finish for the complete 36-month duration of the study. 0 measurable degradation across every single panel. A second study conducted at the Fraunhofer Institute for Manufacturing Technology in Germany in 2009 confirmed these results on actual working vehicles, not laboratory panels. Real delivery trucks and service vans with up to 12 years of continuous outdoor exposure in northern European climate conditions. The research team applied 2 coats of diluted acrylic resin across every exterior panel of every vehicle in the test fleet. Average gloss recovery across the entire fleet, 81%. Permanent molecular bond confirmed after 3 full years of continued outdoor exposure. Material cost calculated by the Fraunhofer team, $2 per square meter of painted surface. A standard sedan carries roughly 8 square meters of exterior paint. Full vehicle restoration cost, under $20. The same cosmetic correction at a professional body shop in the same country, $500 minimum. That study was published in a peer-reviewed journal, cited in subsequent coatings research, and completely ignored by every major auto body chain in North America. That is not an accident. That is just economics. Nobody held a meeting. Nobody signed a document. Nobody issued an order. That is exactly how the most profitable suppressions in industrial history always work. Silence does not require coordination. It only requires a shared interest in keeping things exactly as they are. In 1952, the American auto body industry quietly standardized a refinishing workflow that has not meaningfully changed in over 70 years. Sand to bare metal. Prime with corrosion-resistant coating. Apply 3 to 5 coats of base color in a climate-controlled booth. Seal with urethane clear coat, cure, and deliver. That process takes between 8 and 40 labor hours depending on vehicle size. It requires professional equipment. It requires professional training. It requires a professional. And that is precisely the point. The 3 largest auto body chains operating in North America today collectively process hundreds of thousands of vehicles per year. Mako alone operates over 450 franchise locations across the United States and Canada. Their economy paint package starts at $500. Their premium packages run between $500 and $3,000 per vehicle. The collision repair and auto body refinishing industry generated $48.6 billion in total revenue in 2023. That number has grown every single year for the past decade. Not 1 year of decline. Not one. Industry analysts estimate that between 25 and 35% of total body shop revenue comes from purely cosmetic refinishing work. Not accident repair, not insurance claims, not structural damage. Pure cosmetic paint restoration for oxidation, fading, and surface scratching. That means roughly $12 to $17 billion per year flows through body shop doors across North America, specifically for a problem that a $2 bottle of hardware store resin solves permanently. In 1987, a coatings chemist named Dr. Raymond Kessler at the Society of Automotive Engineers annual conference presented findings showing that acrylic resin penetration outperformed every abrasive correction method then in commercial use. His presentation was received politely. His findings were noted in the conference record and never referenced again in any trade publication, technician training manual, or consumer-facing guide produced by the industry. Not once. In nearly 4 decades. The auto parts store shelves tell the rest of the story. Every major oxidation remover and paint restorer sold at national chains today contains the same core formula: petroleum distillates, mild abrasives, and silicone fillers. They work by grinding away a thin layer of damaged clear coat and filling the remaining surface with silicone polymers that sit on top. The gloss looks impressive for 2 to 4 weeks. Then, rain washes the silicone out. UV breaks down what remains. The paint returns to full chalky oxidation. And the customer draws the only conclusion the product was designed to produce: paint restoration simply does not work. That conclusion drives them directly to the body shop. Every single time, without fail. A designed failure loop engineered into the product formulation itself. Not a conspiracy. That is just economics. The knowledge was never destroyed. It was simply placed where the industry knew most people would never look. Inside peer-reviewed journals, railway maintenance archives, and university coatings, research that nobody told the public existed. That changes right now. The first step requires no special tools, no appointment, no professional training of any kind. A person needs to walk into any hardware store and find the adhesives and sealants aisle, usually near the concrete and masonry products section. The product to look for is acrylic copolymer resin sold as concrete sealer or clear acrylic coating. Read the label carefully. The primary ingredient must be acrylic copolymer resin or acrylic polymer emulsion. Avoid anything listing silicone, wax, petroleum distillates, or UV inhibitors as primary ingredients. The bottle should cost between $2 and $4 for a quart-size container. That single bottle contains enough material to restore the entire exterior of a full-size sedan. Before application, wash the vehicle thoroughly with standard dish soap, not automotive car wash soap. Dish soap strips every trace of existing wax and silicone residue from the surface. This step is not optional. Any wax or silicone remaining on the paint will block molecular bonding, and the resin cannot penetrate. Dry the vehicle completely with clean, lint-free towels. Water trapped beneath the resin prevents proper adhesion to the clear coat layer beneath. Pour a small amount of resin directly onto a clean foam applicator pad. Work one panel at a time using straight, overlapping strokes from edge to edge. The liquid will appear milky white as it spreads across the oxidized surface. That is not a problem. That is confirmation the solvent is actively opening microscopic pores in the damaged clear coat. Exactly as Friedrich Ballner observed on that locomotive cowling in 1903. Allow the resin to sit undisturbed for 15 to 20 minutes until it dries to a thin white haze. Buff the haze away with a clean, dry microfiber cloth using light pressure. The original factory color will return beneath the cloth as it moves across the panel. Apply a second coat following the identical process. For severely oxidized panels with visible peeling or heavy chalking, apply a third coat after the second has cured for a full 24 hours. After the final coat, leave the vehicle undisturbed for 48 hours. In 2021, a retired schoolteacher in Lansing, Michigan named Carol Whitfield documented this exact process on her 2003 Jeep Grand Cherokee. The roof had turned completely white. The hood was rough to the touch. Clear coat was peeling along every body line and door edge. A body shop on her street quoted her $1,800 for a full cosmetic respray. Carol bought a $3 bottle of acrylic copolymer resin from a hardware store 2 blocks from her house. She applied 2 coats over a single Saturday afternoon using a foam brush and microfiber towels from the dollar store. 3 years later, the Jeep still holds full factory gloss across every panel. Her total material cost? $3. The industry did not lose this knowledge. They made a calculated decision that a permanent $2 solution could not be allowed to compete openly with a $12 billion annual service market. So they buried it inside institutional silence. Not with laws, not with lawsuits, but with decades of misdirection dressed up as professional expertise. The science was always real. The chemistry was always accessible. The solution was always sitting on a hardware store shelf, 2 aisles from the front door. The only thing that was ever missing was someone willing to say it out loud.